Hi guys, my name is Mayank and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about my experience with the Kindle Paperwhite, and I also wanted to compare what has been my experience with the Kindle Paperwhite when it compares to books. So I have been using the Kindle Paperwhite since 1 year almost. So I think I have used it for a considerable amount of time to provide you an update or a kind of review on whether you should purchase this device or not and whether it is meant for you or not. So stay tuned for the video till the end and you will be able to find out and realize whether you should purchase it or not. So when I had first purchased the Kindle Paperwhite, I always thought of this as a big investment I was making because it is not a cheap device. You have to spend a considerable amount of money to buy it. When I had purchased the Kindle Paperwhite, I had purchased it for around 10,300 rupees, which is a big investment according to me. So when I first purchased it, I thought of it as a huge investment, and many of us are very much skeptical, very much careful while making such a big investment. We think about it a lot, but I think a year later I can easily say that this has been my best gadget investment till date, and I will tell you why in the upcoming part of the video. So I can talk about the benefits of the Kindle since I have been using it. So the first benefit and the biggest benefit that I have found for myself is that I read a lot at night, and reading a physical book at night can be difficult if you are already having someone with whom you share the room. So if you turn the lights off, you cannot do it. But if there is Kindle, it helps you to read at night as well because it has backlighting, and you are also reading on a device which has e-ink. So it is not a normal OLED display, it is an e-ink display, which is also not harmful to your eyes. So that is one of the biggest benefit of Kindle. The second biggest benefit I feel of Kindle is the friction to reading. Now, Ali Abdal, I think one of my favorite YouTubers, he had shared in one of his YouTube videos that Kindle reduces the friction to reading. What he means is that when you decide to buy a book, there is an entire process of buying a book that you are going to go through. You decide to buy the book, and then you find out where the book is available. If you decided to buy it online, then you go to Amazon or Flipkart. And if you decide to buy it offline, you go to a bookstore. You go to the bookstore, then you decide to buy the book, then you bring the book back to your home, and then you finally start reading it. And also if you buy online, it gets delivered around minimum 1 or 2 days. So there is a time period gap between when you decide to buy the book and when you're actually reading the book. If you lose your interest of reading the book during that time period, it can be very difficult for you, because then your interest will go away and you might not actually read the book. But in case of a Kindle, with just one click, the book arrives in your Kindle library and you can just start reading it. So it is, I think, a big benefit for reading the Kindle. And I think features overall, I think there are so many good features that you have when you are using a Kindle. You can highlight text in the Kindle to refer it later, which comes in very handy for reading non-fiction books. There is a dictionary. You can just tap on a word and it will give you the meaning of the word. It really saves you from the hassle of taking out your dictionary or your mobile phone, searching for the dictionary, searching for the word meaning, and then coming back to the book. And then you have the X-ray feature of Kindle, which helps you to track characters and places in the book, which comes in handy when there are a lot of characters in the book. So there are so many other features as well which are there in a Kindle. Not going to talk about each of them. I think you will realize when you buy a Kindle yourself that how many features it has. But yeah, this really helps in reading books. And in case you are liking the video and you decide to buy a Kindle, I have already created a video earlier of when should you buy a Kindle. So I will link that in the card here so you can check it out. And the last benefit that I would like to talk about is I think the cost. Overall, when you are buying Kindle, I think you are spending money up front, but in the long run, if you read more than 2 to 3 books per month, you will realize that you are saving a lot of amount on buying books, because Kindle books are relatively cheaper compared to paperbacks. If you On an average, I have realized that they are at least 40% cheaper. So if there is a book which costs 100 rupees, paperback copy of the book, the Kindle version of it will be somewhere around 60-70 rupees. This is not true for all the books, but for most of the books. So this is what I have realized. Now coming to the next part of the video, I would like to compare the Kindle with the physical books. Now when I talk about physical books, I used to read them before, and now when I'm using a Kindle, I do miss the feel of a physical book in hand. I am not able to do that. So when you're reading a Kindle, you're using an electronic device and not a physical book. So if you like to turn pages, if you like to feel the pages of the book, you will not get that in a Kindle, and that is something you need to understand. The next point is again related to the first point itself, the personal connection that you have with a book. If there is a book which you purchased from a library or from a bookstore, you bought it home, you opened pages of it, you felt the book, you started reading the book, and you had a physical connection with it. After you finish reading the book, you might place it in your bookshelf or in a library where it will stay there as a memory for you for a long period of time. So it kind of becomes a part of your life which you might not feel when you're buying a Kindle book. It will stay in your Kindle library, it will stay in electronic form, so you might not feel that connection. Also, there is one thing you realize and you have to accept as a reader when you start reading books on Kindle, that you might not be able to build your own library. A library is something which every book lover dreams of building. I have seen a lot of booktubers on YouTube having so big libraries. They have created their big bookshelves, they have color coded their books, or they have categorized them by genres, and they have big libraries. But I don't have that, because I started reading books a few years ago, and by the time I actually got into books, I bought a Kindle, and now I only read books on my Kindle. So I will never be able to build a physical library of my own. I can still do that, but then I will have to spend a lot more money. So that is something I have to accept. And if you are buying a Kindle, you have to accept that as well. So overall, these were my experiences with the Kindle. Do I miss reading paperbacks? Yes, I do. Still, every now and then I do purchase paperback copies when I want to, but I have definitely reduced it to a significant extent. I mean, if I read 10 books, probably one of them would be a paperback. So yeah, I have reduced it to a big extent. Most of my books are on Kindle, and I would like to keep it that way. So this was my comparison and my experience of a Kindle when compared to a paperback. I hope it helped you to decide whether you should buy a Kindle or not. That's it for the video. Let me know if you found it helpful. My name is Mayank, and I will see you soon. Thank you for watching.